And we are live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of the Petty and Ill-Informed podcast, where we venture our petty and ill-informed opinions about a variety of topics. Joining me this week is Tom.
Yep, absolutely hit present and correct from the start this time, at least.
Kevin was here, but as you all saw, he's just popped out to reset his computer. Technical difficulties for one of them things. Tom, have you had a good week?
Actually, yes. We had sports week at my school, and it was full of some lovely moments and a lot of fun. Kids riding their bikes around. It was seeing one of my kids in a wheelchair dancing on the dance floor with one of our wonderful teaching assistants was quite possibly one of the most wholesome things I've ever seen in my life. So that was absolutely brilliant. And sort of the reason,
sweet.
It really was. No, genuinely, it really was. And this is exactly the kind of thing I came to my school to do and to witness. It was a pleasure. And I had a lesson observation, and by some miracle, I passed with flying colours. And my team also came out glowing the way they were all working with individual children at that in the classroom. We were just looking at 3D shapes and how many faces, edges, and vertices. That's posh mathematics for corners.
You've gone very muffled. I can barely hear you.
Okay, sorry. I don't know why. I mean, I'll come a bit closer to the microphone then. Is that any better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. So, we were looking at 3D shapes and counting how many edges, faces, and vertices. That's posh math speak for corners. That's what I was saying. These shapes had like a cuboid and a pyramid and that kind of stuff, and it was really fun. And that I got some glowing praise for that, which is going to be written up and sent up the hierarchy. So that cuts me a nice bit of slack to finish the year off with. We've got one more week of school before we break up here in England. Our school calendar is very different to stateside, so that has been quite a sigh of relief. Yay!
Well done, you. And as Gabby has pointed out in the comments, it was not a miracle; it was all skill, and you shouldn't sell yourself short. So well done, Tom.
Well, if I'm getting compliments from Gabby, geez, what 2 + 2 = 5? I mean, hey, I'll take that. Thank you, Gabby. That's really kind of you. Thank you.
I too am deeply suspicious that she's suddenly being nice to you. No doubt she's paid off the hitman finally or something.
Well, quite.
Well, I'm glad you had a good week. How's the house renovations going?
Oh, they're still drying. They've still got these industrial fans in blasting all the time, making the place very inhospitable for the poor cat. And we turn up every day and feed her. And yeah, it's just a bit rubbish. But there you go. It's can't be helped. And it's just taking its time. It'll all be all right, though.
All right, well, that's good. And Gabby has pointed out in the chat that her relationship with the postman continues pretty well. She saw him yesterday. They had a nice date, I'm given to understand. So yay for Gabby.
Oh, so have you finally got over the fact that it actually happened in a very sensible way and not like something out of some twisted porn film?
I will never forgive her or the postman for that, but... I mean, the lines write themselves. I've got a big one for you. Oh, Mr. Postman, however will I pay the duties on fees on this package? And just, it was all there. It was just wasted.
Oh, dear. Oh, my God.
Someone somewhere that slept with a pool boy or two.
Don't look now, but Gabby's about to go all E.L. James on us in the chat.
She already gave me the nitty-gritty. It's just a nice date. They had fun together. It's all going sensibly and well, and, you know, I'm happy for her, don't get me wrong. It's just, it feels like a wasted opportunity to me.
Well, it feels wholesome to me.
Yes, it would. It absolutely would feel wholesome to you. You're the kind of person that watches Saturday morning cartoons with a moral lesson at the end and goes, "Oh, And the rest of us are like, Shredder totally should have won that fight. What's going on?
Oh, that's going back to Turtles. So one of the when I speaking of Turtles, when I got my Neo Geo console and applied a hack called Hilo Stick, which gives you like literally 1,000 games of like sort of a lot of arcade games from the late 80s and early 90s and stuff like that. And I went straight to Turtles and I
Yeah.
replayed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, with as many continues as I could be bothered to use.
I've got the emulator on my computer. I've got MAME. I've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've got The Simpsons. I've never found a working copy of the Star Wars trilogy, which kind of sucks. But yeah, all my old arcade favorites, I've got them emulated.
Oh, there are some great ones. Double Dragon, that was fun.
Brilliant. Kids today with their bloody controllers don't know the simple joys of a single joystick and 6 buttons on the side.
Well,
all of them did pretty much the same thing, but you still tapped them all anyway.
But that's what I've got with my Neo Geo Hilo Stick. If I want to use it, it's there and good to go. Personally, I prefer the control pad just to be a heretic and annoy you. But
yeah, I don't see. This is my problem with It's the same argument I had with the Titanic submarine. Mouse and keyboard is always going to be way more intuitive than a controller, you know. And I get that some games you absolutely need a controller to play. Any Souls game, I mean, you can play it with a keyboard and mouse, but it's more fun with a controller. This game I've got called Ancestors, the Humankind Story, where you take Australopithecus, well, no, the precursor to Australopithecus, and you just evolve up to ancient man, but you need a controller to play that because the mouse key and keyboard keys are just ridiculous.
Right. Okay. I mean, what do you play that on? Your PC?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. It's tell me more about this game.
Not Ancestors.
Yeah.
Basically, you start off as the missing link. It is an unnamed species, obviously, because we never found it. And you start off in a small tribe, or you can start off completely by yourself. And you have to build a tribe. You have to gather food, and then you choose evolutions to adapt to. And you can get genetic mutations through radiation.
Okay.
And you have to assign those, like walking on 2 legs on that game takes a lot of time and effort. Also, becoming an omnivore takes a lot of time and effort.
I can't imagine the gameplay. I'll have to look this up.
Hold on a minute. Let's see if my computer will tolerate a bit of the old share screen mode.
Yeah, let's go with this one. This is intriguing. I mean, I can't imagine like what's going on screens.
But it's third person.
Right, I see. Third person run around a world place.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't. Last time I tried to play a game on stream, it just didn't go well at all.
I mean, could you stream a YouTube clip or something?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Take a minute or two to search for it on YouTube. I'll talk about some garbage while you do that.
Okay.
There we go.
Right, so yeah. Let's see if we can.
Ooh.
Got no sound. Oh, that's because the sound's turned off. Yeah. Them saber-toothed tigers are annoying AF. This clip is extremely misleading. And that's a neural map where you upgrade stuff.
Oh, to sort of literally push yourself down the evolutionary chain.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you play it.
Wow, that's intriguing.
Because at the beginning, you're like really, really powerless, held hostage by the world almost. But towards the end, anything that gives you any jit, you just shove a spear in its eye.
That looks really original. What a game! Cool.
It's
Enjoy.
amazing. I think it's unfair that it didn't get more love. Because like, hardly ever anyone's heard of it. I mean, it's an indie game, which probably explains a lot. You know, AAA studios, they like to just push out the same games, basically. Let's see. Get him. Get him. Again, that's misleading because even when you upgrade them fully, it still takes 2 spear hits to kill a saber-tooth dog. I want that note. But yeah, it's one of my favorite games, and I do. It does sort of track. Oh, Kevin's back. Didn't see that because we were watching that. How you doing, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear him breathing.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. There was a security update to the computer last night, I guess, and I didn't restart it before I got here. So my board doesn't work. So I had to put on this Microsoft gaming thing. So it is what it is.
Yep.
It is what it is. Okay. How's everybody doing?
Yeah, we're doing okay. I've got some things I've got to get ready for next week. Last week at school was very good. Got a few things I've got to take care of next week because we're doing a music festival, or as close as we can to, at our school. And I've got my bass guitar, and I've got to look at and practice some songs. I've got to do that tomorrow night and Monday night and Tuesday night.
So you basically, what's your summer holidays then?
Oh, it's about 6 weeks, starting at the end of next week. We've got one more week of school because it's just they're our holiday. You're in America. The school holidays are bunched up massively in a big summer. Our summer is only half as long, but our breaks throughout the rest of the year are longer, and that kind of thing. But I think overall it probably works out about the same.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from that standpoint, I think teaching year round with fewer breaks actually is better for kids. I mean, because you let them go, and then they come back 3 months later, and then you just have to teach them what they learned last term anyway, because they forgot it. So that's
there's a lot of that kind of thing happens.
Yeah.
Especially with my kids with their special needs, bless them, you have to like reinforce stuff all the time. Like addition, for example, you're reinforcing that all the time, getting out like these the base 10, the deans, these resources that represent hundreds, tens, and ones in these little cube formations, and it's really cool. And you're always getting those out and adding them up and taking away, and just going over it again and again. Yeah, but it's great.
Yeah, that sounds good. And Richard, what have you been doing
this week? Just working. Nothing interesting happened to me.
You didn't see anything, as far as puffins or anything, or anything?
No, I had a look. It was just a mundane week for birds. But I'll tell you who did have an exciting week.
Who?
Stacy.
Stacy?
Oh, no. Oh, guys, get a room already.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's now time for our critically acclaimed EastEnders Corner. where we discuss the events of EastEnders from the week. Mostly, purely just to annoy Tom, really. That's the only reason I'm still doing it.
Yeah. How many Lolo references were there again? I'm tired of the Lolo references.
Just one. Just one.
Yeah. Yeah. Stacy has been going out with the teacher.
Yeah.
Well, and again, he's the one that's stalking. Well, can you call that stalking? If you've got a camera,
it's not stalking per se, but it's creepy as all hell.
Yeah, I think.
What? Silence? What?
Yeah. Did Kevin just disconnect?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think Kevin's.
Oh no, he's on mute. He's on mute for some reason.
Why are you muted, Kevin?
Something might have happened. Oh bless. Well, I hope everything's okay there.
Oh, he's unplugged his mic. Oh, that's why I can't unmute him, so his microphone isn't connected. Okay, well, I guess you get out of the EastEnders corner this week, Tom. Did you just DDoS him?
I didn't do anything.
In a desperate bid to stop the EastEnders talk.
Oh well, it's just not my favourite. I've no interest in the show at all.
Well, maybe you should watch it next week.
Oh, Gordon Bennett, seriously?
Yeah, watch a few episodes and then you could join in and be like, okay, guys, it was just as bad as I thought it would be, even worse.
Oh, well, the last time I watched it, it wasn't exactly compelling viewing. So far-fetched. I mean, if any of these soaps were actually for real, after 48 hours, the entire street would be sectioned and straitjacketed and be having serious mental health counselling. I mean, script writers drag these poor souls through the mangle. The worst is Hollyoaks. Hollyoaks is absolute. I mean, even all the other British soaps don't take Hollyoaks seriously. Last I checked, whenever there were any BAFTA awards or things like that, it wasn't even, or the soap awards, it doesn't even get a look in. It's not even considered a soap by all the other soaps. Hollyoaks is just so obscenely ridiculous and far-fetched. I haven't watched it for years. I don't even know if it's still going.
Probably still going. But yeah, I saw an advert for it not that long ago.
Oh, yeah?
So yeah, it's still going. I've never watched Hollyoaks. I've never watched Coronation Street. I've just watched EastEnders.
Oh, no, Hollyoaks, they just have such far-fetched storylines. You have, I mean, okay, if I going back, that you have things like, there was one character who was really being manipulated by another character called Eli, and then it turned out that this character, I can't, his name might have been Newt, I'm not sure, was like sort of schizophrenic or something, and Eli was his alter ego. Actually, much like Fight Club, it's really similar to Brad Pitt and Edward Norton in Fight Club, and it would have like 4 or 5 storylines that intense or thereabouts on the go at once. And it was just I think there was one guy who managed to persuade his dad to fake his own death and then hid him in the loft. It's bonkers. One character was very slowly poisoning another and pretending to try and get him. Say all you need is a good getaway. You just need a holiday, and took him out to this retreat to slowly poison him to death even more. Even though this character was a dad and had this, I think the dad was called Max, and he had a little son called Tom running around. It was just a. I remember a nightclub burning down with a guy called Warren strapped to a chair and trapped in the middle of it. I don't know if he survived or died. I can't remember. But it was just, Yeah, it was just torture for every poor sorry character involved. Over relentless torture. It was so unpleasant viewing. Yep. People still watch it. Lots of people like Hollyoaks, and heaven knows why. I can't see the appeal
Kevin's
myself.
back.
Oh my goodness! I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on, but I mean, that was the USB thing doesn't work. Now this other thing doesn't. I don't know. I hope you can hear me okay, but that's the way that is.
Well, yeah, we can hear you well enough, so just don't touch anything.
Right.
Leave everything alone. Laissez-faire, Kevin.
Yeah, I understand. Richard, you're a true crime guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Didn't what
I
Tom
am.
was talking about the hiding the guy in the attic?
Yeah.
Remember the guy who he was kayaking supposedly with his wife?
John Darwin.
Yeah, and the kayak flipped over and he was lost, and it turned out that he was living. They had bought the house next to his house or something like that, like with those joining houses, and they tunneled through the wall so they could be together. I don't know all the details, but
Well,
it was.
the John Darwin one. I don't remember any bits about tunneling through a wall. To be honest, that might be from some other story. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was. Well, I thought he had died. Well, he had been, and she got paid off for the life insurance money, and yeah, he was hiding in the house or around the house. I'm not sure.
Kevin, it's funny. Whenever you're talking about this, you're saying some things that are true of John Darwin and some things that I don't think are.
Yeah.
Well, the story I know, and Richard, let's see if you remember correctly. I don't know how much you know about this. Was John Darwin just appeared in this guy who'd been missing for ages, just appeared and walked into a police station and said, "Oh, I've no idea where I've been for the past 4 or 5 years," and he somehow convinced them that it
did
was
an episode about this guy.
right, and I must have missed that one. Yeah, and then he
Yeah, he
died.
walked into he went out kayaking one morning, and the weather was absolutely perfectly fine. There was no reason anything bad should have happened. That was his first mistake. The kayak washed up on the beach, and everyone assumed he was dead at sea. The amount of money and resources that was wasted looking for this idiot was.
He was in Mexico. Was it Mexico?
No, Panama.
Oh, so that part of the world. He was out there in the Central America, and but they at some point a photograph
got his picture taken. Yeah, for the tourist board with his wife.
I don't know how, but a picture did get taken, and it was found. It was identified, and he had to. I think he was arrested. I'm pretty sure, but there was a TV dramatization of it a while ago. I don't think I got round to watching it ever. And yeah, he was arrested, and his wife had to admit to their kids that they faked the whole damn thing. And I think one of the or two of the kids. Maybe I did watch it because I remember this. So I think some of the kids have started talking to mum again, and some of them have not. I thought something. It's been really. I mean, imagine that. Fucking hell. Your family fake that. What the fuck?
Yeah, you're right. That's right. I was probably putting together two different stories or whatever, but never let the truth get in the middle of a good story, Tom. That's the way I look at it, brother.
I mean, that's an insane story. What really boggles my mind is he didn't go anywhere. He just moved in back with his wife while he was pretending to be dead in the same village.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was that's an interesting thing. I mean, I don't understand it, but if I was surprised that they paid out, to be honest with you.
Well, it's just like They were in a lot of debt. They wanted the life insurance. The life insurance had no reason to doubt them because there'd been that massive search for him on the TV. So
Right.
he
But
had to pay all that money back.
yeah, a lot of insurance companies want corpus delicti. They want a body before they
Yeah.
pay. But
But then the arrogance of him to walk into a police station and say, "Oh, I think I'm dead. Oh, I think I've been declared dead," and then to try amnesia. It didn't even last 24 hours. That, by the way, the cops broke him that night in the
Did they?
interview room. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, no, he sat down. They'd already, the police were already really suspicious because he'd been seen in his village, and that picture had come to their attention. So they already pretty much knew he'd been faking it. But they broke him that night in the interrogation room. Never talk to the police without a lawyer, people. Seriously, never talk to police without a lawyer, especially if you're innocent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It was a terrible thing. But that's more. I mean, that's like a soap opera in a way. You know what I mean? I could really see. I could really see. Like Ian coming back on EastEnders and saying, "I had amnesia. I've had chronic amnesia." Oh, and
Well,
another thing that I want to say about that, Richard, is
yeah.
so he's basically down in the market selling like French Baps, and then then that house is incredible. The house they're living in. I mean, if I could work in a market and like sell Baps and then, go home to my big mansion, I'm all in, brother. I'm moving to France.
Yeah, well, he had a lot of money before that, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh well. I think he's running out of money. I think that's going to be the storyline is he'll have to come back to
Well, they are coming back. I mean, they've got to.
yeah. Oh well, and how about Chelsea declaring love for Ravi?
Ravi, yeah. I mean, whatever.
Well. Well. That's the way it
You
goes.
know, if they're happy, that's the important thing. The important thing is that Martin and Stacey are clearly getting back together, which, apart from Suki and Eve, they're my favorite couple. So I'm all in for that.
Yeah.
But of course, it's like I watched that episode with my mum, and I was just like, ugh, they're not. It's not. It's going to be a drawn out thing, isn't it? They're not just going to get back together. We've got this Theo bloke, and he's going to start wearing her dresses and stalking her, and it's going to be this whole thing.
He's going to start wearing good dresses. That's a good one. You know what I mean? I would love that as far as that goes. But
I mean, you can see it coming a mile off. But
okay,
if he doesn't wear one of the dresses, I'm going to be deeply upset. I feel like EastEnders missed the trick.
Yeah. I think you need to settle out letter to the BBC and just say, on Talkback or whatever they have on Sunday, I am very unhappy about this thing. He should be wearing a dress because he loves Stacey so much, and that's the way that goes. What else happened? There was something else that I wanted to talk to you about, but I can't remember now.
Rocky gambled away his honeymoon in an ultimate
yeah
move of dumbassery.
yeah
And
that was going to happen. You know what I mean? And where did Nish get that baseball cap that he was wearing at the end?
it wasn't a baseball cap, was it? It was it was his tie. He was wearing it as a bandana.
Oh, was it? Okay. Stupid. Anyway, and it ended up. It was a tribute to Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels because of the fact that they did it in the ring, Yeah. And, yeah. So anyway,
Good stuff. Good stuff from EastEnders this week. There you are, Tom. That was less than 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Good.
exactly. I have to be concise today because I was having difficulties. So what do you guys what do you guys want to talk about this week?
Good question. Tom, do you have any idea?
Okay, Richard.
Hmm.
I hate to rain on your parade, but it doesn't seem that you're right that they broke Darwin in 24 hours.
They absolutely did.
Well, I'm reading a news article from The Guardian from the 5th of December 2007. And it was on the first, according to this, on the 1st of December, Darwin walked into the West End Police Central Station and said, "I think I'm a missing person." Then on the next day, his sons, Mark and Anthony, are called to an emotional reunion. On the 3rd, so not a lot happened on the 3rd. On the 4th, the Darwin sons announced that their father cannot remember anything since 2000. And then on the 5th of December, Darwin was arrested. So it was actually 4 days, according to this, between the 1st and the 5th of September.
Really? I watched a documentary about it once, and they said they'd broken within. Well, like Kevin said, don't let the truth get in the way. So maybe I was lied to.
Well, Richard, it could be that he got bailed, and then whenever he came back, then they broke him in 24 hours. You know what I mean?
I know it didn't take long to crack him.
Yeah. So I
mean,
mean,
it might have been when they arrested him. That wouldn't make sense. It would be if when they arrested him that day, they broke him within 24 hours. That would fit. Yeah,
because they probably were looking for the evidence to charge him. You know what I mean?
They were all what I also read. Everything else you said, Richard, was right. They were onto him already. They were suspicious.
Just the arrogance of him, not even moving house. I think he grew a beard. That was the extent of his disguise. Was he grew a beard and walked with a cane or something? Yeah. And and then he tried going to America, but the woman in America saw that he was going into business with, backed out because she thought he was a dick. He was obviously a dick. Anybody willing to commit fraud on this scale. And I think him and his wife ended up getting divorced. Yeah. And his kids don't want anything to do with him.
When he was going to move to America, was he going to marry this lady, or was
it was a business thing. They were going into business on a ranch.
Okay, so he had quite a lot of money to invest in that, right?
Yeah, well, they got a load of money. He had like 3 life insurance policies or something.
Oh, right. Yeah, they paid off like £130,000 of mortgage with that.
Yeah, they got completely out of debt.
Well, that was my question, because it's very hard if you're a non-citizen to actually become an American citizen. And I've known people that came over from Northern Ireland that were deported. You know what I mean? And it's it can be pretty hard. And then they I think the lady was looking for to marry my son so she could move to America. But anyway, that's a story there. That's a story. But sometimes people do marry other people for sham marriages to get into America. That's the way that. So your marriage, Richard, when you got married, did you just not know the lady, or how long were you married?
What, my first wife? Yeah.
Yeah,
I knew her for a while. Well,
oh, I just didn't know if it didn't work out, or she just has...
No, it did not work out.
Okay. And then at that point in time, you were forced to leave?
Yes, I was kindly invited to leave by the lovely people at Immigrations and Customs Enforcement.
Yeah. So did they put any kind of a restriction for you coming back to America, or does that fall off?
Yeah, I can't ever use the ESTA visa again, and I wasn't allowed back in for 5 years.
Okay. So you could come here if you wanted to. Is that right?
Yeah, if I got a holiday visa or something, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just interested in that because Sam and I are going to be back in Northern Ireland for uh, at least 3 months, and so um, I've got to figure out the ins and outs of her becoming registered as a alien here. You know. So
Well, you can
anyway,
use the ESTA visa to get her through, and then you're married, so you should be able to just apply for her to get a green card. I mean,
yeah,
the UK law's pretty similar. You're going to Northern Ireland, right? Not the Republic.
yeah, Northern Ireland, but there's a weird thing about Northern Ireland. That is kind of strange, because you can choose to be an Irish citizen, or you can choose to be a British citizen, or you can choose to be a dual citizen. So, on the one hand, you're a British citizen, and on the second hand, you're a member of the EU. It's just weird. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people, you know,
I just wish we'd never Brexited in the first place. It was such a stupid idea.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Oh, it
It's,
was.
and spurned on by racism. That's what annoys me. Like, no one could give me a decent reason to leave the EU other than let's get rid of all the P words. And,
yeah.
you know, India isn't even in Europe. So I never understood that logic in the first place.
Yeah, I find in politics, if somebody says this is a big problem, but don't worry, we'll fix it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It never works out that way. You can't
Never.
simplify a problem down to that. But everybody always falls for it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're going to fix it. That's fine.
I know I've
Yeah,
mentioned this before on the show, but the amount of swallows that voted for Brexit boggled my mind.
yeah,
Like, I was just like, are you kidding me? That's your entire lifetime down the toilet. Because, a lot of British people like to go to Spain.
yeah,
Well, a lesser known fact is the Spanish absolutely hate us. Um, with good reason, because we don't respect their country at all and treat it as a part of England. And when we Brexited, because a lot of those idiots voted for it, a lot of them lost their right to go to Spain. Well, not go, but to stay in Spain for long periods.
yeah.
And it was like, well, what did you think was going to happen?
Right. So if you owned a house in Spain, I don't know, some of it became an issue with owning it and having a mortgage and things like that. But you could only go to Spain for 30 days or 90 days or
60
something.
days.
Oh,
Yeah,
60
60.
days.
Yeah, Spain. France is 90 days. Spain is 60
Yeah.
days.
Well, that's it. You can buy a house and stay in it for 60 days, and then
Yeah.
the rest of the time. So I mean, basically, you have to be fairly rich to do that because you're going to have a house in two locations. And I don't know. I don't know. Doesn't make it. It does. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense
Mm.
to me. But I mean, that's
Racism, fear, and hate.
I think a couple of people I know voted as like a protest vote, but didn't expect to actually get what they voted for, which is
uh
just, well, be careful what you wish for, you pillocks.
Well, they didn't. So,
Um,
I mean, we went
yeah,
through the whole thing and they didn't even really get what they wanted.
right.
no,
But that's what I'm saying. They were lied to, and that's a. I mean, the people were lied to. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And Boris Johnson had his big boss and all that stuff, and Nigel Farage and all. You
there
know,
was the NHS money. That's a massive howler.
yeah,
I mean, that was absolute bullshit that they would free up a truckload of money for the NHS, and I do know some people that bought into it.
yeah. Well, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? I mean, you see, that's the thing. People really want that simple way to fix it. You know what I mean? And it's that's it. You know. But nobody wants to get mired down in the politics of it. You know what I mean? It's like anybody that does a good job and technically has to, do all these different things to get it done. Nobody likes, and that, it's because it's boring. It's just boring. And the other people come along and, wear T-shirts of the British flag with these colors don't run on it. That's great. With their tight jeans rolled up on their Doc Marten boots and their skinhead. That's
Good times.
Yeah.
The Scottish people want another referendum.
Yeah,
I
but
don't think you're allowed to have one within 50 years, are you?
I don't know. But didn't Nicola Sturgeon, the head of the Scottish National Party, get arrested for fraud or something?
Yeah, I mean,
she had to resign.
Yeah, because they don't know where some money went.
It's like £600,000 or something of campaign money that has disappeared. She did something. I watched a documentary on this just recently. Actually, I should be able to remember it, but I bloody can't. She she wanted to run a de facto referendum, so one that wasn't a legitimate, wasn't an actual, wasn't a genuine renovation, but just like renovation, not a genuine
referendum,
but one that would be a like an advisory one only or something like that, and that got thrown out as a really stupid idea. Because you can't ask that question properly if people don't know if people know the result won't be acted upon.
Right.
And so that was I think that was the reason that was thrown out. Wasn't taken seriously by enough people in England, in Westminster, in Scotland, let alone Westminster. And and then this fraud thing came in, and that was it. She was done. She had to resign.
Yeah. Well, they want to take a symbolic vote as far as, that's what they would want to do, but it would have no actual basis in reality. But I mean, that's one of those things where, again, there's that nationalism where Scots don't think they're really part of Britain anyway. I don't
part of Britain. Scotland is not part of England.
It's not part of England, but it's part of Britain.
Yeah, it's not part of England. No, but what was the Act of Union in it was like 1800 or something.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like Wales. It's actually a real country, Scotland.
Wales does always seem the closest. Maybe it's just because it's closest geographically.
It's not a real country, Tom.
Sorry?
It's not a real country.
Yes, it is. Of course it is.
Oh, yeah, we let them pretend, but come on.
Don't be such a git.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question here, because I know that once you cross into Wales, I think you think that the world changes and you go back 150 years or something. But
we were on holiday there recently. It's not like that.
I'm not talking about you, Tom. I'm talking about Richard. You know what I mean? But what do you think of Cornwall then? Because Cornish people are Celts.
Cornish people are. That's what I think about Wales. I think Wales is just like the same as Cornwall, only more rainy.
So you don't like Cornwall either?
The people there are a bit odd.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I feel really sorry for people in Cornwall because so many of their towns are just, hoovered up by the uber wealthy in London who buy them as second homes. I mean, in many towns, more than half of the houses are owned by people in London, and there's just nothing left for local people. And I can sympathize to a large extent. I'd be furious if I was them. I mean, there's even been situations where there's been new builds and the local people have, don't quote me on this because I'm ill-informed, that sort of formed almost mobs and demanded that no homes be sold to anyone from London as a second home, and that they should be exclusively for the local people because they've got nowhere they can buy.
Right. I think that's true. I mean, in a way, you sort of, and I wonder if, if this is a conspiracy, but I think, in a lot of ways, COVID took a lot of money away from a lot of people. And so, again, the price of houses dropped massively. And, you're right, Tom. In a way, Cornwall's, I mean, Northern Ireland's the same way. There's a lot of people coming to buy rental houses on the coastline, up in, the Antrim coast. And that's the same thing, second houses. And, that's the way that is. Houses are cheap. And, at that point in time, if you've got the money, then you pounce on it. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but I mean,
it does my head in.
Yeah. What I do think it's interesting. I was watching a program on just across, the border there in Ayr from you, Richard, that those houses are going way up in cost. But I don't. Ayrshire, there used to be nothing in Ayrshire, the occasional coal mine and everything like that. But the houses have probably doubled, as far as that goes. But that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. I guess you have to like think of the future. If you're lucky and you can buy a piece of property somewhere, and in 10 or 20 years, you can make a lot of money, or you could be, you have to live in it. You know what I mean? It's an investment for some people. I don't know.
It's definitely an investment. There's certain roads in London have so many empty houses that are just falling apart because they're just becoming rich, more wealthy anyway, because the land that they're on is worth way more than the cost of refurbing a house that sits on it. People do just buy these things as investments and just let them sit there, and these houses. I've read news articles about it. Just let these houses like go to rot. Basically, it's really weird. My mum knows a road. I just can't remember what it's called, but where there's every other house is either one that's looked after and lived in, and then one going derelict, but someone's investment.
Yeah,
almost alternating to go up the road. Yeah, go on.
No, I was just saying. I was watching it. I was watching another program about, there's certain streets in Liverpool where they'll sell you a house for £1, £1. And then you have to fix it up. You know what I mean? They're trying to rejuvenate those old streets. But I mean, it's not, it's, a row house. It's the old row house. And there's times in Italy where that's it. You can buy a house for, €1. You've got to stucco the front of it. Basically you have to make it look good from the outside. And otherwise, they fine you, but you got 5 years to do it. So, I mean, I don't know. That's pretty good. And they have internet and phone and all that stuff. It's not just a dump,
Okay. But £1.
You can't live there. You can't live there because you're not in the EU. I'm just joking.
Okay.
Do you think Do you think that they'll come back in? You think that they'll ever admit that they made a mistake?
What, in leaving Europe?
Yeah.
No, we're be a bloody long time before they let us back in. Jeez, heaven knows what the world. I mean, it would be have to be. Don't think. I'm not sure I could see it happening in our lifetimes.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting that Britain kept its own currency, and
Yeah, I
so
always thought that was weird, that we were in the EU, but we used sterling instead of euros.
Well,
right.
it's one of those things. We were never quite all in. We're on an island. Maybe there are cultural differences or something. I don't know, and we just have sort of maybe. I don't know, and the pound, the English Channel, some of the things that were always there, and
I think it was more to
maybe
do
we
with
were
the
never
fact
all in
that
as a country.
the pound was one of the most valuable currencies in the world.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, at one point in time, it was like.
I think that all my lifetime, and well, all of our lifetimes, the dollar has been creeping closer to the pound, or the pound's been getting lower and lower, close to the dollar. I mean, I think anytime soon they're going to be neck and neck and then cross over, won't they? And one pound will be worth more than £1. I mean, we're almost there, aren't we?
Right. Yeah, but
It's like
close.
$150 to the pound.
Yeah.
Is it back to 150?
It got as close as $1. I mean, a pound was worth $1.34. But I can remember when a pound was worth $2.
So can I.
Yeah, and when my dad emigrated to in the 70s to Ireland, I think it was high. It got as high as like $4. It was $4 to a pound or something.
You know what? That's the figure I remember my dad telling me.
Yeah.
I remember it being halved, and I remember him saying it was. I'm pretty sure I remember him saying it was used to get about $4 to the pound, and now it's about 2. I think I remember it being like £1.10 was or $1. I don't know. No, that wouldn't make that doesn't make sense. It was like $1.10 was equivalent to a pound or something like that. It got quite close.
Yeah.
But it's back up to about £1 to $1.50.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I it's a funny thing because in Northern Ireland would always have sales that would say, because a euro was less than a pound at a certain level, and shops in Northern Ireland that were on the border would say, we'll take a euro straight across. You know what I mean? So people used to go down across the border and take out euros from the cash machine, go back up to Northern Ireland, buy it, and take it home. You know what I mean? I mean, people are creepy like that. I mean, not creepy, but they're sly. That's it. That's it. That's what Northern Irish people do. Look for any way to get a bargain. And what was the thing about? Wasn't there a thing about buying alcohol or something like that, and they made it so expensive in the Republic that people were going to Northern Ireland and buying it out and taking it back? That's just one of those things. It is interesting living on a place that has had two systems. But I bet you they will make a border from an Irish Sea border. I can see that happening. Anyway, and then they'll have to still have to cater to certain people. I mean, that's just the way it is until Britishness dies out. So anyway. Anything on television, Tom, that you like other than EastEnders this week?
I haven't watched a lot since since Black Mirror, which we discussed either last week or the week before. No, the week before, I think. I found a series on Netflix about the TV show American Gladiators, and I remember when I was a kid, I'd sometimes sneak downstairs in the middle of the night on Saturday nights to watch it, like when I was a teenager in the early 90s. You kind of had a choice. I think it was American Gladiators on Friday night or WCW on Saturday night.
Right.
And I used to sneak down at 2:00 in the morning. Or something stupid like that, and literally creep down the stairs, put on the TV really quietly, and sit there in front of it, watching it. And
WCW, that takes me back.
Yeah, that was the wrestling from. Oh yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I like that. I used to like that. There was, but I wasn't there a UK Gladiators for a while?
They did.
Yeah,
they did. Contender ready, gladiator ready.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw it, but I mean, I remember going to a Little Chef one time on the side of the road at some kind of lay-by, and they were talking. They were advertising the the British Gladiators. That's what they were doing. The Little Chef.
I used to work in a Little Chef. I remember they were the days. I was 18 years old, and I was by far one of the oldest and most sensible and mature members of staff there. Everyone else was like 16 and absolutely bonkers. Well, I exaggerate. There were several 16-year-olds there that were absolutely nuts. I remember eating dinner with these two guys. They were great. They were called Steve and Craig. And I remember eating my dinner with them. And it was like I'd have had better table manners if I'd have sat down with, gone into a cage in London Zoo with some baboons or an orangutan or something and ate with them. I mean, these guys were just chucking this spaghetti all over the table, not even having food fights, just eating so messily and being so them.
Just acting like a child.
Yeah, absolutely. They were just being themselves.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about it. You find that people sometimes are just crap whenever you hire them. You know what I mean? And they just don't care.
I'll give you an example. I mean, this sort of thing should have been considered absolutely outrageous at the time and would be now. There's a girl called Eleanor started there, and she was only probably 16, just 16. And I was just chit-chatting away with her. She's a very friendly young lady. And I just said to her, it was a weekend job for her. And so she sort of went to college or something during the week. And I just said, oh, so what do you do then, Ellie, during the week? I said, what do you do, Ellie? And this guy, I don't want to say his name, but this guy offered as a response on her behalf. I said, what do you do, Ellie? He goes, she sucks knobs. Suck yours for a $5.
No.
What the fuck? You're just openly suggesting that this young, I mean, he was he knew her from school. He was the same sort of age, but he openly thought that was okay just to pretend that she prostitutes herself out. It should have been obscene at the time. It certainly would be obscene now. And I did say to her, are you all right with that? And she and she went, oh yeah, it's just him. I was like, oh blimey, well, God, if you're sure. Yeah, because I was, I mean, part of me may have found it funny at the time, but it's just madness, really. Yeah. Oh, but so that was the insight into the charming souls that I worked with. That's out the back of the Little Chef. That conversation happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, misogyny was a big part of. Misogyny was a big part of Britain for a long time. It sort of changed after the millennium, in my opinion.
But there's still, you'd be surprised, there's still places that have got a hell of a lot of catching up to do. The Metropolitan Police, for one. I mean, that has opened.
For God's sake, this again. He only meant to kidnap and R-word her. Okay, he didn't mean to kill her. Everything's fine. It's all sorted.
Yeah.
Oh, Jordan.
He just put her.
Anyway.
I mean, that's a storyline with Stacy and the EastEnders.
I can't believe that was actually his defense. That copper. He only meant to kidnap an R-word. I'm just like, that's your defense. Well, okay then, I guess. I mean, what I was talking about Sarah Everett. Sorry.
Well, you gotta say
I
something.
know.
You gotta say something. I mean, but it's what's funny about the difference between court and Britain and court in America is it seems like they just let people abuse you whenever you go into court in Britain. I mean, I don't know. They come up with alternate ideas and stuff like that. It's a strange, like you said, Richard. Don't ever talk to the police unless you have a lawyer. That's right. You know what I mean? Because otherwise,
never talk to the police without a lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, because
if you're guilty, but especially if you're innocent.
Yeah. But a lot of people think because they are innocent, they don't need a lawyer. You know what I mean?
No, you always need a lawyer. If watching true crime has taught me anything, is that police are lazy and will stitch you up for anything given half a chance.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And on that incredibly depressing note, we'll wrap it up for this week. We will return next week despite the hopes of many. Good night from me, and it's good night from them.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. I was doing you, Richard. It didn't come through very well. Well. Love you, Richard.
Yeah. Oh well.
See you next week, brother.
Oh, it's still here. Oh, it's still on. Good night from me. Good night from them. Good night.
Good night, guys.